has 2 podcasts himself. He has his own summit. He's a facilitator, a connector, and he's now added author to that list. Andy, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, Megan. I'm excited to talk to you today. How are you?
I'm really good. Now, can you tell me, where are you? Because we're on other sides of the world from each other.
Yes, we are. I'm in Orlando, Florida, USA, southeast part of the United States, and it is 7 a.m. where I am right now.
Awesome. 8 p.m. over here. I was in Florida in 2009, obviously to go to Disneyland, because that's why the tourists come. And I've never seen rain like it in my life.
We do get some great thunderstorms here almost every day, all summer long. But now you and I are recording this in December. It hasn't been raining much in a while. I miss it, but I do love some good rain.
Awesome. So, Andy, tell me, what is a talent development coach? What does it you actually do?
Well, I spent the last few years working in corporate talent development and work with people in talent development, learning and development at big companies. It really comes down to training and development. So when companies are looking to provide development opportunities to their people, whether it be learning how to become better leaders, improving technical skills, financial skills, things like that. Hang on just a minute. Okay, yeah. Sorry, so my little coworker just coming in with a question. It generally comes down to training and development. How do you help people in your organization become better? And so I have been offering and running a lot of different training programs over the years. I run leadership development workshops, teach strategy, business finance, things like that. And most of that was all done in person before COVID, and then everything changed, obviously, when COVID hit back in March, and I was flying all over the place running in-person workshops. And I had to pivot my business doing some of that more virtually, but also wanting to offer more services to the talent development community. And that's when I ended up launching a membership community called the Talent Development Think Tank and a virtual summit that we hosted back in September. And now I'm pivoting more into the career development space as I have launched this book, Own Your Career, Own Your Life, just a couple weeks ago in November. And I'm kind of shifting my personal brand more in that direction now.
That's fantastic, because I guess with everything that's happened this year, and it's, I mean, nobody could have planned for this. There's a lot of people struggling with what direction to go in. So this book, I presume, is for people like that aren't sure what's next for them, perhaps?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, the interesting thing in writing this book is I started writing it on January 1st. And so I was a little more than halfway through writing it when everything shut down for COVID. And I've got a lot in there about building a network, building a brand, and a lot about, going to conferences and meeting people in the office and things like that. So it gave me an opportunity to go back and rework a lot of the book to be more COVID friendly, to be, for lack of a better word, right? To account for the fact that a lot of people, most people, white collar workers in the world are working remotely, virtually, that we've got to find ways still to build networks and build a brand in a virtual world. So went back and addressed that. And, this is good for people who are, in a career that is doing okay, but maybe you might want to make changes, to the people who definitely are looking to make big changes, including all of the thousands of people that have been laid off this year and are being kind of forced to make a change, which is okay. I've heard from a lot of those people, it's challenging times, but it also can create new opportunities, maybe to find something new, maybe shift your career, try something new. And that's what I love, helping people with that mindset shift and changing that mindset, shifting that mindset from challenge to this is an opportunity, maybe try to do something new.
So they can actually really own their life with it as well. I love the title, Own Your Career, Own Your Life, because I don't think, we don't really think about how much time we actually spend at work. And I had an old colleague years ago, and he basically, there was a bit of unease in the office, and he sat us all down. He said, we're basically, you see each other more than you see your family. We're in here for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You have to work this out. We have to find a way forward, because this is life, really. And we if there's something is unhappy at work, you take it home with you. I know some people are maybe very good at compartmentalizing. I mean, I know I can't. So I really love the title of that, because your career is so much of your life. It's a big part of it. So what does it mean for someone to actually own their career, own their life, in terms of your book and what you're working on?
Yeah, I love what you said there, Megan, because even before COVID, I think there was a lot more integration going on. It was hard to compartmentalize, as you said. Now I'm struggling
It's
with
a
the word
great one.
too. Well, I remember working with people years ago. I spent many years in the corporate world too, who would just keep their work life and personal life very separate. And that was never me. I was always, friends and going out with people from work and that sort of thing. I think it's really harder to do now because we're all seeing each other's personal lives, right? I mean, you're on those meetings and people's kids are or pets are walking through. I mean, my son just walked in a second ago to ask me a question, and our personal lives are pretty much integrated in. We've got to take ownership of our career if we want to truly go anywhere that's going to be fulfilling and bring us happiness. I mean, sometimes people get lucky. The reason I wrote this book was I have worked in this corporate space for more than a decade, and I've seen so many people out there kind of drifting through their career, operating in reaction mode, waiting for their boss or someone to bring something to them or tell them to do something. And I wanted to wake people up and say, hey, nobody cares more about your career than you do. You've got to take ownership. You've got to take the initiative. If you want to make a change, much like you said, Megan, with your coworker who said, hey, we all work together. We're here together all the time. We need to address this issue. If you want to make a change in your career, whether it's making a small tweak or completely changing careers and getting a different job, it's up to you to take the initiative. You've got to figure out where it is you want to go and set that vision. You've got to connect to a purpose. You've got to figure out your values and your strengths and what's going to set you apart. You've got to make a plan. You've got to make the goals, and then you've got to go out and do the work. And that's in the book. I walk through step by step how to do all those things and how to set you up for success in the future by doing things like building a network and building a personal brand, which I know you are an absolute expert on, Megan, which is really important, not just for entrepreneurs, but people in the corporate space as well, to help them be more successful and kind of future-proof themselves from who knows what other crazy things might be coming down the line.
Look, I think that your network and your brand are the two most important things that anyone can have. Once you're in your 30s and onwards, like the first 10 years of your career is very much, building all of that up and building up your knowledge base and knowing who you can turn to for different things. That, anyone that ignores that, especially now with COVID, like if you aren't online, you don't have a digital footprint, or you don't have a particularly strong brand, will you be remembered? Because we haven't got those occasional, like bumping into someone in the street or at the water fountain like we did before. So it's very easy to get forgotten if you're not a strong enough presence. And I mean, that's not for everyone. I know that it's not, because it's, we've all got a personal brand, whether we like it or not, but it's definitely for everyone to be strategic about it. So I love that there's a whole chapter in your book about personal branding, which is why I was so excited to talk to you. Can you talk a little bit more about what's in that chapter?
Yeah, it is about the importance of building a personal brand. And just like what you said, that whether we are intentional with it or not, we all have a brand, we all have a reputation. And it's kind of introducing people, especially in the corporate space, to that idea that you do have a brand. You can be intentional about impacting that, from how you show up at the office, the way you interact with people, the types of projects you take on, how much you work, how cooperative you are and fun to work with, to what you put out there online, right? If you're able to and you're willing to start posting things on LinkedIn and social media, that all contributes to your brand. And one of the big, you mentioned that it's not for everyone, right? Not everyone's going to be content creators hosting live streams like you and I or something like that. But there are a lot of benefits. And one of the examples I give, and I think as we move more into the future of work and kind of a gig economy that a lot of people predict, this is going to become more and more important as people are vying for different project type work, is that when you are looking, someone is looking to hire someone to work on a new project, and they're considering two people, right? There's John, who is very experienced, definitely has all the skills, but he's hard to work with. He kind of standoffish. He's not very cooperative. He can be a little bit, emotional or angry. And quite frankly, a lot of people are like, I don't know if I want to work with him. And then, there's Megan, who might not be as experienced as John, but she's just fun to work with. She cooperates. She's a great team player. Everybody enjoys working with her. Who do you think people are going to hire, right? They're most of the time, the job or the project is going to go to the person with the better reputation or brand, not necessarily the person with the most experience or skills. And I think that's going to make a big impact or difference for people in the future.
Oh, 100%. Like I always say that you can, when you hire someone, you can teach them something, but you
Yeah.
cannot teach personality. And I mean, I have someone that works for me part-time, and she was actually serving pizza when I met her. And she was an international student, and she was so super friendly. I got chatting to her at a networking event.
Yeah.
I got chatting to her and I said, "Oh, what are you doing in Australia?" And she was over here studying, and it happened to be marketing. And I said, if you're looking for, some work later on in the year, come and speak to me, because honestly, I can teach her lots of things and she picks them up really quickly. So I am lucky that sense as well. But she's got the personality. I have got no qualms whatsoever putting her forward to speak to any of my clients, because I just trust that they'll like her.
I love it.
And it
Yeah.
makes such a big difference. So I'm happy that that's in your book. I think that's brilliant. Now, the other thing you talk about a lot is leadership. And I guess this book isn't just for, leaders that we think of as in like the CEOs and the top of the ladder, but you're talking to people who, because you can be a leader even if you're in the bottom rung. Is it
Definitely.
about them kind of trying to take what can they do to try and change things? Because I know you've got a lead from the top, but there's a lot you can do on the ground as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of work in the leadership development space. There's not a ton about leadership in this book in particular. That'll probably be coming in the next book. I've already got mapped out in my mind
Fantastic.
about modern leadership. But a lot of this is about being a leader and leading yourself, right? And not waiting for others. I think a true leader, a good leader, is someone who makes everyone around them better. Enables people around them to do their job. Whether you are a manager managing people, it is your job to allow your people, enable your people to get their jobs done. Or you are an individual contributor, you can be a leader who helps people around you get their job done better. And that can include you as well, being a leader of yourself. And I think great leadership starts with self-leadership. It starts with self-reflection and getting to know yourself, understanding what are your strengths and weaknesses. What are the things that you enjoy doing? What do you not enjoy doing? What are your gaps or your blind spots? What could potentially hold you back? I'm a big fan of the book Multipliers by Liz Weissman. In that book, she talks about what multipliers do and what diminishers do, people who end up diminishing their people. Getting to know things like that and how you show up in the world can be really beneficial to you as a leader, whether you're an individual contributor or a manager. And it's so important, I think, to really invest time in that self-reflection and talking to others and getting feedback and understanding, who you are, because it allows you to figure out where you want to go from there, set that vision and start making a plan. Also, it allows you to, as you're moving in that direction or you're figuring out where you want to go, start to invest more time or try to find a job or a career that takes more advantage of the things that you're good at and you like, and maybe avoid some of those things that you don't like. Now, there's no perfect job, right? We're always going to end up doing some things that we don't like. But Megan, you and I have both got to a place where I can't speak for you because I don't know you that well, right? But it seems like you're doing something you love and you found somebody who can help you with things that maybe you don't want to do or you're not as good at. I'm the same way. I found out through a lot of frustration in my career and a lot of missed promotions and missed opportunities that I am not detail oriented. It is not I'm not a good project manager, right? And I've failed at many jobs where I needed to be. And so now, but all those failures have moved me along a journey towards a job or career that I love, that I want to do, where I'm able to run my own business, spend most of my time talking to people like we're doing right now. And I have an amazing assistant named Stephanie who helps me with all the detail oriented stuff and keeping my business organized, keeping all the crazy projects that I put out there. Like, we're going to run a virtual summit, we're going to launch a book, helping me keep all that stuff organized while I can go out and talk to people, so I can double down on my strengths and outsource, delegate some of those things that I don't like or I'm not very good at. Now, not everybody has the luxury of being able to do that, but I think as you do the self-reflection and you start to learn what you're good at, what you're not good at, strengths, weaknesses, that sort of thing, you can start to move in that direction and eventually get to a place where ideally you're spending more of your time in your zone of genius or doing the things that you really enjoy doing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love that. And although maybe this book doesn't touch on leadership, as in doesn't spell it out, I think that it will attract leaders, because it's leaders who actually want to make a difference and are actually consciously making alternate kind of plans or doing something about changing their circumstances. And it's not just, I know there's lots of people in different circumstances and I can't talk for everyone, but generally speaking, you go seeking for something when you want to make a change, and that makes you a leader, because generally as well, I'm generalizing lots here, you take people along with you. You read your book. So I've read this book by Andy Storch, and then you just tell more people, and it is that multiplying effect, which is a leader. And I love that. So that's fantastic. So why are so many people unhappy in their careers? What's keeping them from making this big move? Did you find any common denominators there?
Oh yeah, I actually just posted about this on LinkedIn yesterday, because I was having this conversation with another friend who hosts a great podcast here in the US. And so it's funny you bring that up. I think there's two big things. Number one is mindset. And I've got a whole chapter dedicated to that in the third part of my book. A lot of people operating with a victim mindset. So they think life happens to them. They don't control their situation. I can't change this job because I have to go, because this is the job I have and I have a family to support and that sort of thing. They think that they don't have much control over their situation. And that's just not true, right? For most of us in the modern world, we have a lot more freedom and control than we think. So I always ask people to, start asking yourself the question, why are you going to this job? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And if you're not making a change, why is that? You don't have to go. No one's making you go, right? You may feel like you need to. You may feel obligated. But mindset of, I want people to shift from that victim mindset to a mindset of ownership, which is I'm choosing to do everything that I do. I take full responsibility for my situation. Everything in life happens for me instead of to me. And therefore, I own everything that's going on, and I get to choose where I go, when I go, how I show up in the world. Now, it doesn't mean you can't just stop going to work, right? There's logically, rationally, we've got to make small changes over time. It doesn't make sense if you've got a mortgage and a family and things like that to just quit and walk out. Although some people do it. So there's the mindset thing. And then the second piece is about fear. So many people that are unhappy in their jobs are so afraid of the unknown that they never make a change, right? So I don't like my boss, or I don't like the culture, I don't like the company. I'd really love to try to do something else one day. Maybe I'd love to become a writer, or I just want to try getting into marketing or HR. But I'm afraid of what might happen. Like, what if I go try to do that and I fail? What if my family judges me and thinks that I'm making a poor decision, or my friends laugh at me if something goes wrong? And I think that fear holds a lot of people back from following their dreams or even making a change, a small change, because there's a risk that you might fail, you might be rejected, you might be judged by others. And so it's the most successful people that the people that are really happy, that go for it, are the people that starve their fears, that are pushed past that have the courage to take a chance and take a risk and say, I don't care what other people think. I'm going to go try this, right, for a little while. And if it doesn't work out, then something else will come up. And that's why I talk in the book about the importance of having a growth mindset as well, which comes from the book Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, which was a game changer for me, moving from a fixed mindset to more of a growth mindset, which with a growth mindset, you really don't see much failure. It's really all about learning and growth. So you try things, and you either succeed or you learn, but there really is no failure as long as you at least try, you go for it. And so for me, I'm always trying new things because I think about what I'm going to regret more at the end of the day. Is it, am I going to regret failing, or am I going to regret never taking that chance? And for me, I'm always going to want to know that I followed my dreams, that I took the chance. And even if I fail, I'll learn something from it. And you never know what might come next, right? There may be something else waiting for you that you can't even fathom right now, but you can't get there unless you try and fail the next thing. And so getting past that fear is just such a huge, huge thing for so many people.
Oh, that's massive. And I come across that with personal branding as well. When I'm with clients, the fear factor is massive. Oh, I don't want to post. What if people don't like what I'm posting about? What if it doesn't make sense? And a lot of it comes back to their peers, not even the person that they're actually trying to help, so their ideal client, but about their peers, other people like them. You know, that they aren't knowledgeable enough, that they're not the expert, that there's people that are more, you know, with more experience, more knowledge, better connections and things like that, which there's always going to be someone ahead of you, just like there's someone behind you. So I think there's a lot of similarities there with trying to grow your career, growing your brand. It is definitely that fear factor of putting yourself out there because you're making yourself vulnerable, you know, and that's hard.
Yeah.
The mindset stuff, love that. I love that mindset is more of a thing now, because I think previously it was thought of a bit wishy-washy. It's about meditation and it's a very girly thing to do. I love that there's more men like you doing it, because it basically means that other men go, oh, it's all right, there's another bloke doing it. And that's fantastic, because your mind is so powerful. It's so powerful. I mean, even take something as simple as going to the gym. You know that you have to go to the gym, you know that you have to get fit and healthy, but you won't do it until you have had that mindset, that shift in your mind that says, right, that's what I'm now doing, and you make it part of your routine. So, you know, it works in the personal life, it's the professional life as well. Can you talk to me a bit more about the mindset stuff, especially working with guys, because I think that's where the biggest barrier would be.
Oh yeah. I mean, men, we get in our own way all the time with that mindset shift. And I love what you brought up, going to the gym. There's a lot of things that we always think we should do or we need to do, and then we don't do it. That's where connecting to purpose becomes really important, right? And figuring out what's the why behind the thing that you want to do. Is it just because somebody else had a goal and you decided to take that on too? Or do you have a real reason for why you want to go to the gym, or you want to change careers, or you want to have this new goal? The other thing that I want to bring up there too is, if you are trying to get in better shape, or you're trying to change careers or achieve a big goal, is that accountability can be really, really effective as well. So finding an accountability partner, hiring a coach, a personal trainer. You know, one of the reasons why personal trainers are so effective when you're trying to get in better shape at the gym is not necessarily because they have the knowledge to help you get in better shape. It's just the fact that when you make an appointment, you have to show up, right? You're like, oh, she's waiting there for me, so I've got to make sure I come to the gym, you know, Wednesday at 7 a.m. or whatever it may be. But going back to what I was saying before, I think a lot of people in life, it pains me sometimes, so many people operating with such a victim mindset, which is that they feel like they're stuck, or you can't make changes, or life is happening to you. Bad things are always happening. People won't let me do this or do that. My boss is not going to allow me to make these changes. My spouse doesn't support me. There's just so many things going on, and everybody has different situations, right? I can't speak for everybody. Everybody's in a unique situation, has a unique journey, background, family, resources, all that sort of stuff. But the more you move towards a mindset, a growth mindset, and a mindset of ownership, which is taking full responsibility for everything going on in your life, whether you actually caused it or not, becomes, for me, a lot more fulfilling. So, for example, I mentioned in March, my entire business was selling and running in-person training workshops. When COVID hit, it shut my entire business down. And I could have sat there with a victim mindset, and why is this happening to me? Let me just wait for this to improve. But I knew that things were not going to change for a long time. So instead, I thought, well, how can I take advantage of this? What opportunity does this create? And in the book, I talk about 3 questions I always love to ask when challenges come up. The first question is, what's great about this? There are almost always silver linings in every challenge. Not every single one, but what was great about COVID canceling all my trips was that I have 2 young kids, and I'm able to stay home with my family. And I've been home with them every single night for 10 months after being on the road a bunch for the last 10 years. The second question is, what can I learn from this? Almost every failure, mistake, challenge comes with a learning opportunity. So maybe there's something I could have done differently. Maybe I could have prepared better for something like this. Maybe I could have future-proofed my business or built a bigger network or a brand, that sort of thing. And then number 3 is, what does this make possible? So in 2019, I spent the entire year planning an in-person conference with my friend Bennett Phillips called the Talent Development Think Tank. It was planned for November of 2019. We sold it out in October after tons and tons of work. And we can talk all about that some other time related to personal brand, because it was a lot of work, but it was a big success. And then 1 week before the conference, it was in Northern California in wine country, Sonoma, and there were huge wildfires there throughout California at that time, and happened again this year. And I know you're familiar with having them down in Australia as well. The wildfires came into the town where our conference was going to be, and 1 week before, the hotel got evacuated, and we had to cancel, or actually postpone the conference, send an email to 150 people and say, we're postponing this conference because of wildfires. Now, we knew that it wasn't our fault. Nobody was going to blame us for it, but of course people would be upset. We had, 20 speakers and 150 people coming. Miraculously, we were able to rebook it for 2 months later in January of this year, 2020, and get all our speakers there. But the reason I bring that up is because I asked the question, what does this make possible? There were a few people that couldn't make the new dates, but there were some people who couldn't come in November who were available to come in January, and they bought tickets and did come. And some of those people have become clients and friends of mine that I still talk to on a regular basis because they came to that conference, and they wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for that wildfire change in the date. So there's almost always silver linings to challenges we face. There are lessons we can learn, and they always make new things possible. When you get laid off, it sucks, but there were probably some things you didn't like about that job anyway. Maybe it makes something new possible. You can finally pursue that career in marketing or HR or whatever it is you wanted to do, and start to do something different. And all this goes back to what you asked about, which is mindset. It's shifting that mindset from the victim mindset of things are always happening to me to the ownership mindset of, things are happening for me. How do I take advantage of this? How do I turn challenges into opportunities and make life work for me? Because that's the way life works. There will always be challenges, but we get to choose how we respond. And that determines our success. That determines our outlook. That determines our happiness. That determines our fulfillment. And that's why I think it's just so critical to do that work on the mindset.
I love how passionate you are about that. It's incredible, and I think you're so right. I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. I grew up on Que Sera, Sera. So I really believe that, when something bad happens, yeah, you feel like crap for a while, but generally speaking, something better comes out of it. My mom is my biggest mentor and my biggest support in everything, and yeah, generally something bad will happen, and we will debrief a couple of months down the line, and we will go, if that hadn't happened, look at what's happened now. So you need that perspective. And you were talking about having an accountability partner. I mean, my mum's quite, even though she's on the other side of the world, she's still in Scotland, is probably my unofficial business partner. She probably has been, she probably doesn't know this. If she's listening, she'll be like, oh, do I get paid for this? Because you need that. You need that someone that will actually turn around and say to you, actually, things are pretty good, and actually remind you of the good things, because I think we get so tied down in the doom and gloom, and it's hard not to at the moment. I know that for sure.
That is cool. Oh, can I add something, by the way? I like to keep this like happy, optimistic outlook and mindset, and have said repeatedly that 2020, it forced me to pivot this business, and I really love what I'm doing. I've been home with my kids every day, and it has been the best year of my life. I've also been lucky; no one in my family has gotten seriously ill. But one of the sad things from COVID is that I had a trip planned to Scotland in I think April for some client work, and I have a good friend who lives up there, and he was going to take me out sightseeing all over the area, and I never got to go. Still never been to Scotland, but hopefully one of these days.
Well, I'm going to trump that, because I was also meant to go back in April for my wedding in Scotland.
Oh, no.
Instead, I'm here and I started a business, but there you go.
That's amazing, right? What does this make possible? It's just a crazy world. It's definitely changed things for a lot of people.
Well, you're one of a few people that I've actually interviewed on this podcast who are in Canada and America, and we've had very similar conversations that Scotland is on the bucket list, and we're making semi-plans that's where we should meet, because that's halfway for Australia, America, in the middle. So I think there'll need to be a personal branding exposed catch up in Scotland, probably at a distillery.
I think so. I think you need to organize some kind of conference, in a global personal brand conference in Scotland. I'm in.
I think it might have to happen. I think we've maybe just committed to something.
I like this is how things start. You know, when I hosted the conference with my friend Bennett, it started with a conversation, and we were like, you know, the podcast has been growing, this and this has been happening. Maybe we should start and trying to host some like networking events when we travel around the country. And then I think one of us said, why don't we just try to host a conference? And then we did, and it took like 10 months of hard work, but we pulled it off.
They are the best things, though, when you're brainstorming and all of a sudden you've just got the best idea. Andy, I have loved chatting to you. Your book, I know it's available on Amazon. I haven't actually checked yet to see if I can get it down under in Australia, but I'm sure they probably ship down here as well.
Yeah.
Amazon's probably the best place to send everyone.
Amazon, yeah, Own Your Career, Own Your Life is available on Amazon. There's a book, and I've created a companion journal as well. And it is available in the United States, in Canada, in Europe, and in Australia. The beauty of Amazon, they print on demand everywhere you go. I do have some friends in Australia who have already bought the book. And I have a friend in Germany who bought the book right away. And she's like, I can't believe I was able to get this book in 2 days. I was like, well, I think Amazon prints on demand pretty much everywhere. They're just a huge, huge company. And by the way, I forgot, where are you in Australia, Megan?
Perth, Western Australia.
Okay. So I'd love for you to get a copy of the book and take a picture with the book, and whatever landmark that your area is known for. That's my next mission. I'm going to try to start collecting for the brand photos of the book in cool places all over the world. And I've already got a couple that have come in, and I've got a friend in Paris who just ordered the book, and I was like, you need to go down to the Eiffel Tower. So you know what? I actually have an interview tomorrow with my friend in Scotland. I'm going to talk to him about it, and maybe get a picture of the book in front of a castle or something.
Oh, he can have one with a haggis. They're these cute little animals. Have you seen them? 2 short legs and 2 long legs, and they run around the hill. So that's why they've got longer legs, so they don't topple over.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him about that. I did ask my friend Leanne, who lives in Brisbane. She's always out running, posting pictures of kangaroos she finds. I was like, I need a picture of my book with some kangaroos.
Right, I'm going to one-up that one, and I am going to take your book to Rottnest Island and take a picture with a quokka.
Ooh, okay. I like it. I like where this is going.
The friendliest animal in the world.
Okay.
Yep. It's happening. Cool. If it's good for Roger Federer, it's good enough for Own Your Career, Own Your Life.
Yes. Yes, I like it.
Fantastic. Now, I have put all of your contact details down in the show notes for anyone, but do you want to quickly tell everyone in case they're listening?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram every day. If anybody wants to connect with me, let me know you heard me on Megan's show and what one of your takeaways was. I always love hearing that. The book, again, is Own Your Career, Own Your Life. The book and journal are on Amazon. I've got a couple of podcasts. I also have a free report for anybody who is in a career and you want to make sure you're heading in the right direction. It's the top 5 most common career mistakes that people make. I've interviewed tons of people. I surveyed my network about their biggest career mistake. These are so fun to go through, and put them in 5 categories. And you can go grab that by going to ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. Just put in your email and you can get a report of the top 5 most common career mistakes and make sure that you're not making one of them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andy. This has been brilliant, and I can't wait to get my book and take it to Rottnest Island with me.
Yes, I can't wait. Thank you so much, Megan. This has been awesome.
Have a great one.